Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hope my voice is audible. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So, fine. Good morning to everyone. So, today we'll be starting up the interaction session with the other students who were not able to deliver their discussion in the last class. So, I like to start up with Adnan Ahmad Khan. He has already given me the title on implementation of new product development. Yeah, Adnan, you kindly carry on.
Yes, ma'am. So my topic for
Yeah.
today is
See, first of
implement.
all, just a second, just speak about implementation of a new product development with respect to your subject and how it is relevant in the outside industries. So, both the things you have to focus in, let me know. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
please start.
So what is implementation of new product development? It refers to the various steps or the process involved when the company brings a new product into the market. In today highly competitive environment in the markets, like uh, many companies produce all manufacture similar type of components. So these companies must develop a right product at the right time at the right cost. This becomes necessary because it determines whether they go into the success or into the failure. So the so the various steps involved in implementing the new product development, let me list it out. So for starting from the first one, defining the product. The functionality or the performance of the product according to the requirements of the customers must be defined clearly, so that the people who are focusing into this into creating the product, they have the clear knowledge about the product, and also avoid running out of the resources, and also the cost involved in the testing of the product and other design changes. And the second one is identifying people. The management should identify a project manager. This project manager should select a team. This team consisting of the people with the required skill with required skill that needs to support and execute the plan for product development. Further, the project manager should plan out everything, all the activities involved in each stage of the product. Also, he should ensure all the to solve all the problems, all the difficulties involved in creating the new product. At each and every step, he should concentrate on each and every step of the product development stage. Third one is utilize resources. Time, manpower, and money are the most important factors in new product development. There's a particular set of resources should be accordingly distributed among the people, so that they should know their responsibilities and their roles in advance before they jump into their job in making the new product development. So this will help in the reduction of the development of the product, and so that the product comes into the market a bit sooner than they expect. Then the fourth one is establish time frames. Implementation of new product requires a series of activities from different perspectives, such as engineering, marketing, testing, etc. Working together all the stages of the product development. Sufficient time should be allocated to each of the activities, so that the functioning so that they complete the activities within the deadlines for the implementation. So the ultimate goal of this process is to produce the right product at the right time. The fifth one is selecting best practice and processes. Engineers involved in manufacturing the product must be allowed to choose the best practice and processes. In addition to it, the documentation, the quality checks, all should be done within this process. The outcome of the various activities of the production process, it determines it gives out the product with the desired features and the functionality according to the requirements of the customer. The sixth one is defining marketing goals. Successful new product development requires a good knowledge about the target market and all its needs and its wants. So the marketing department should know the benefits of the new product, the disadvantages of the existing product, and its competitors, and how to market the new product according to the distribution channels, everything. So the marketing department should do all the future works before they get the product into the market. Thus, the different companies will have different produce different products with different implementation strategies. So the implementation process to be successful, all the departments should work in a particular sequence so that they plan out everything, and with effective communication and involvement of all the people in the product development. So this is about the implementation of the product development. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Did you give an example in practical, at least in any company or the organization, what are the strategies they have followed when they have thrown a new product into the market?
Ma'am, as you can see, a few years back, we got a mosquito racket for this. So to get this product into this, so they have selected all the disadvantages of this existing product, like the coils, the repellent creams, everything. So they saw all the disadvantages of this, and they made a new product which released into the market at the right time, so that the people more people purchase this product, and they gain success into this.
So what about its market share in comparison to other liquids and the coils related to the mosquitoes? So which are being more used by the customers? Is it like mosquito bats or the liquids or the coils? So how about the market survey to this particularly, as you told an example?
Ma'am, it depends. It also depends upon the region, ma'am. So, but in villages, we can't. People they don't have the facilities like to transfer all this equipments there. So they mostly use coils for this mosquitoes. Whereas when you come in this IT sectors like the Bangalore, Mumbai, and all, so they use
Mhm.
this bats more than the repellents and other coils and all.
Mhm. So basically, it also depends upon the area, geographical location, and the usage and the requirements and the economical factors and feasibility, how it is useful to them. So depending
Yes.
upon the survey of the geographical situations and depending upon the needs of the customers, so the products what you are launching will be feasible and economical and convenient for the customers as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
based on all, it will be having its own share of market.
Yes.
Apart from that, these are related to specific domestic applications which are related to different requirements with respect to different geographical areas. Along with that, there will be some new general product which has been launched, so which could be used by every customer. So in that, the concepts, the strategies will be different. And
Yes.
one more thing, you tell me how successful a new product could be in the market when comparison to that of the existing product. The success rate will be more, yeah, medium or least. So how it could be overcome.
Okay. As I told, the success rate depends upon proper planning and release of the product at the right time. So, so when you release the product, suppose during winter we require jackets. So when you release the product at the right time, so that the season and during the winter, the success rate is more than during the summer.
Hmm.
Yes.
That's okay. In general, when a new product is into the market, actually the success rate to grab the market will be not too high. It will be around 10 to 15% only. It depends upon how the marketing strategy, how the you have provided the information of this product into the market before it is into the market. So
Okay.
it has to be stretched forward in virtual manufacturing first. Okay, so virtual prototypes. So always when it is related to the new product development, if you go with the virtual reality concept, so the customers will be aware about how the product looks like in virtual way, the virtual prototyping, the working of it. So they'll be knowing about the concept of the product before it comes into the market. So they will be very curious about the new product. They'll be knowing what are its usage, and they'll also come to know whether it's usable to them or not. So the campaigning, the marketing part will be little bit reduced because the customer will be aware enough. So this tendency will help in increasing the percentage of grabbing the market in comparison to that of the products which are well established already. Okay, so this concept you have to understand, and rest thing you have explained well. Fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So next person who is ready, shall I call the name or you people will start?
Ma'am, I'll present on
Okay.
methods and techniques used in technological forecasting.
Just a second, methods. And one more request, everyone after your presentation, kindly write your USN and the topic in the Google Classroom. Okay, just post me a message. Methods?
Methods and techniques used in technological forecasting, Module 4.
Okay. Used in technology forecasting. Done. Yeah, your USN number, please.
19.
Okay. 16 series, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Yeah, please proceed.
Okay. First, let me start off by saying what is technological forecasting? Technological forecasting attempts to predict the future characteristics of useful technological machines, procedures, or techniques. So, by analyzing future opportunities and threats, we can improve decisions in order to achieve maximum benefits and also take smarter decisions. Today, most countries are experiencing huge social and economic changes, like in our current crisis, and we heavily rely on technological development. So, by analyzing and investigating these changes, we can accordingly take suitable action. So,
Right.
there's different broad classifications of the methods used in technological forecasting. First one is quantitative and qualitative method. So, quantitative method is an approach wherein we use mathematical methods in order to take decisions. And the advantage of quantitative method is it is purely objective. There is no bias while taking a decision, and only the problem that comes with choosing a quantitative approach or a quantitative method is that you need sufficient data in order to take a decision. The other method is qualitative method, and qualitative method is the opposite, wherein it is subjective. That is, it uses human judgment and it's highly opinionated. And the problem with this method is again it's biased, and we may not get the accurate forecasting that is needed. The other classification is exploratory and normative methods. So what is exploratory method? Exploratory method is when we are forecasting in such a way that we have our present data, we know what is in the present, and based on our present data, we forecast what is going to happen in the future. Whereas normative method is especially used in situations wherein we don't have sufficient present data and wherein we have to make assumptions or we have to have an intuition about what the future is going to be. So these are two approaches in order to do a technological forecasting. So under exploratory techniques, there are several techniques such as technology monitoring, trend analysis, expert opinion, Delphi technique, and scenario development. And under normative techniques, we have got dynamic modeling, cross impact analysis, morphological analysis, and series indicators. So let me start off with technology monitoring, which comes under exploratory techniques. So technology monitoring is a method. This is a very straightforward method wherein you have your current data, you process your current data, and based on which area of technology you want to change in the future, accordingly you extract that particular data and you create a forecast. The next method is trend analysis. So here in trend analysis, we look at the historical data as well as the current data. We try to create a sort of relationship. For example, it can be a linear relationship in a graph or like a regression model or a growth curve fitting. So based on these relations, we try to extrapolate these relations to the future and accordingly create the forecast. Next is expert opinion, very straightforward method wherein we consult a particular expert in a particular domain of technology, and accordingly, based on his opinions, we are going to take the decisions. We are going to take the decisions directly. Delphi technique is similar to expert opinion, wherein you're consulting a panel of experts. However, the difference lies in these experts are allowed to discuss with each other what their individual opinions are and finally come to a common consent. So after this common consent is developed, then we take that into consideration and create the technological forecast. Last is scenario development, which comes under exploratory method. And this type of forecasting is more like an imaginative or intuitive method, wherein we actually don't use much of present data, but we create an theatrical or imaginative future. But this imagination of ours is bound by believable parameters. And based on this, we are going to make the technological forecast. So these are the five methods that come under exploratory technique. And now going to normative techniques, dynamic modeling. First thing is dynamic modeling. So here we are. So as I told before, normative techniques is used wherein we don't have much of present data and we are trying to assume something which is going to happen in the future. So the dynamic modeling uses a set of equations or simulations or algorithms to represent our future. And using those equations, we are going to make the forecast. Next is cross impact analysis. So cross impact analysis is here we make different scenarios of what is going to happen in the future. Like you have event A, event B, event C, and you're going to analyze how event A is affecting event B and C. And based on which event has the maximum impact on the other events, we choose that particular event approach and make the forecast. Morphological analysis. This is one of the most common methods used under normative analysis. And what morphological analysis does is it considers the future forecasting as a complex problem. And this complex problem has to be decomposed or broken down into simpler pieces. And here we find out the relationship between each of these small pieces and we try to generate a solution for the future forecasting. Finally, we have series indicator techniques. Here we are looking into the parameters or variables that are going to affect the future technology. So cross impact analysis is we are looking at how different future events are going to affect each other. Here we are looking at what parameters or variables are going to affect technological change. For example, here if we have to give an example, technological change, maybe let's say if environmental changes or change in the economy, that's like for example, let's take the current scenario in this crisis where the economy is going down. So in this situation, it is obvious that you're going to lack the labor force which was forecasted as before, and accordingly the amount of labor becomes your variable or parameter that will affect your future forecast. So this is where we use series indicator, wherein what technological change we require, understanding our current crisis, our current situation, that is a less amount of labor, and how do we deal with it. So this is what series indicator technique is. Now, how do we choose a forecasting technique? So never during the forecasting process do we choose an individual technique as such. It is always a group or a multiple set of techniques that are used together in order to create a forecast. Other factors which we look into while choosing a forecasting technique is the historical data that we have. So based on the amount of present data and historical data we have, we accordingly first choose whether we have to go to choose the exploratory analysis or whether we have to choose the normative analysis. And then you should be aware of the fact that how much time you need to gather and analyze this data. So there are two type of forecasting wherein you have long-term forecast and short-term forecast, and the duration of your forecast period is usually called as a forecast horizon. So the short-term forecast horizon is usually 3 months or less. When you've got 3 months and you're supposed to make a technological forecast, you're supposed to make the forecast of the technological change that is required in 3 months, then you have a short-term forecasting horizon. And if it's more than 2 years, you have your long-term forecasting horizon. So based on this time duration that you have in order to make a decision, you choose accordingly the forecasting technique. That's it, ma'am. I'm not going in detail for combined forecasting.
Yeah. It's okay. Okay, not a problem. Well, you have described all the methods and techniques, how to select everything. So my question is, if you had a product being manufactured without using this forecasting techniques, okay, and
Yes, ma'am.
later you have a product which is being manufactured using these forecasting techniques. So what are the privileges and product will enjoy when you embed these techniques into it while manufacturing?
So first and foremost important advantage is the time advantage. So the problem of not choosing a forecasting method and not following a forecasting procedure is that you're randomly taking decisions and you don't know whether the decision you're taking is the most optimized decision or whether it is going to help you get accurate results in your product. So so here we save time and we're not wasting time taking unnecessary decisions and during the entire product life cycle. Second thing is obviously you tend to get a more uh, accurate or a more better product. The reason why is, let's take one of the forecasting methods for example. Like if you're taking an expert opinion or a Delphi technique wherein you're consulting experts, they have much more knowledge compared to you and they will give you a better insight about how you can manufacture a better product. So in that way, a forecasting technique has way more advantages than the normal approach
Okay,
to make a product.
fine. Will it affect its life cycle, sales, profit in any way? Will it
Um,
help in enhancing its life period of time? Anything else?
yes, definitely, because forecasting method takes into account the dynamic changes that are happening into our environment. So if you are not using forecasting method, we are just looking in a straightforward approach wherein we just have to design this product and sell it and looking at a straightforward approach. Whereas if you're using forecasting method, you're taking into account the economic changes, the market share, and all other external parameters, and that definitely helps. One way that definitely helps you in increasing your sales of the product, and you will and uh, and your product is going to be better compared to your competitors.
Okay, fine. So it was good having a discussion with you, Edwin. Just write your name
Thank
and
you.
USA number in the chat room. And others who haven't written also kindly do add on. So next, Mr. Bharat, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what's your topic for the day?
Ma'am, human factors in product design.
Human factors. And kindly, once you complete, right, Edwin and others, kindly add on your title and USN in the Google Classroom as well. Human factors
In product design.
in product design. Okay. Your USN, please.
17 series 401, ma'am.
17 series 401. Okay, please carry on.
Yeah. Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, can I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, please. Yeah, you're audible. Please tell. You
Human
can
factors.
start.
Yes, ma'am. Human factors normally referred as ergonomics is an application of psychological and physiological principles to the engineering and design product. However, in certain instance the design fails to meet the expectation or support the end user must end user as end user is required. Hence, the human factors has to be considered while designing the product. The reason the reason for the failure are user may not be able to handle the product correctly, or or he may face an difficulty in operating the product correctly, or the difficulty may be in the age. Peoples of all the people of all age may face a difficulty in operating the product, or installation may be difficult, etc. Some of the reason for the failure. Hence, to reduce the risk of developing a misused product, companies are incorporating human factor engineering method in the product design and development stage itself. The main goal of human factor is to reduce the human error and to enhance the safety and comfort with the specific focus on the interaction between the human and the product. Even by this stage, the company's business can also be increased. Human factors are considered in the early stages. As I said, some of the human factors that are considered are defining all user profile, environment and requirements. In this, the description of user profiles such as body measurements or age level, visual or audible, etc., and the level of training will be specified in in the specification, user specification. uh, in user specification of user environment, the environment or the temperature, humidity at which the product works, etc., will be specified in the user requirement. The response when the interaction with the function on product of the product, etc., will be specified. Hence, different types of user may involve in this design process, and it may help for the development of the product. Secondly, the identifying and defining the sources of accidents or hazards connected with the production and usage of the product. Bringing the information according to all the people associated with the product. A set of instructions or warnings should be clearly indicated in a conveyable manner so that the people working with the product may make use of it and may take appropriate decisions regarding proper use and the safety. Thirdly, the adoption and effective design for assembly approach. The human factors element include features that make the process easy to assemble or disassemble of the component and their orientation or alignment, and some and also minimizes the need for the maintenance, thereby avoiding the need for a human factor element focused on maintenance activity. Fourthly, considering the workmanship of the product. The design must take care of workplace needs and the workman's comfort levels and safety in ensuring better quality product. Hence, by considering this factor, the production can be increased and even the workman can be made happy by considering this. Nextly, the standard hardware and software. The hardware and software being used for the products will be standardized. Hence, there should be a common user interface between the user and the product. Lastly, designed to accommodate people with disabilities and physical diversity. The product should be designed in such a manner that it may accommodate the physically challenged or disabled people. Hence, the product can be made used by them also. The One of the example of human factor is that the difference between the conventional design of a pilar and ergonomic design of a pilar. In conventional pilar, there may be a strain to the arms while using it, since the worlding of the pilar are straight, and while operating it, it may cause strain to the and while using the while designing a ergono, sorry ergonomical
Ergonomic.
ergonomical pilar, they may consider the autonomy of wrist, arm, and etc. While considering this factor, the strain that is being induced to the hand and the arm can be reduced. Hence, it may be effective while using. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so fine, you have focused on ergonomical aspects of a product design. So can you just answer me what happens if you have designed a product without the concept of ergonomics?
Ma'am,
How the product will
the user
sustain in
may
the market?
the user may fail using the product, ma'am. Hence, the product status can be
Right.
will be reduced, ma'am.
Yes. So the user then will complain that these are not most
Yes,
convenient
ma'am.
to me. So I have many this one problems across it because it is not ergonomically designed. So then he just put straightforward the issues, and they have to again reconcern and doing the changes if they want to
And
continue the product,
redesign the product. Yes,
redesign
ma'am.
it. So they have to redesign. So always, irrespective of any product, it has to be seen that it is ergonomically designed if it is for the usage of a human being, either in a company, organization, industry, or for any domestical purpose, or
Yes, ma'am.
else that product cannot substantiate for a longer period of time. So always the product which has good aesthetic looks, ergonomical in nature, lightweight, compatible, economical will be the most wanted product in the market for the customers to use for a life period of time. So ergonomical concept is one aspect what a designer should think while designing. So along with that, there are many other components a designer has to think about so that the existing design will be able to remodify and utilize for higher versions of configuration of that particular product. Okay. So this is one of the point what you have focused on, variations or the parameters which has to be understood related to the designing of a product. Fine, Bharat. So you please add on your title and USN to the Google Classroom. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I present?
Yeah, please.
Okay. The topic is product redesign.
What's your title? Product redesign.
redesign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your USN?
10, ma'am.
10. Okay. Carry on.
I'll start. Yeah. I'll be discussing the concept of product redesign. It is a process of modifying or changing an existing design of a product with the objective of improving one or more aspects of the product's capabilities or its performance. And there are various reasons or needs for redesigning of a product. I'll be discussing the reasons. The most important reason is the customer feedback. The customer feedback related to the product design or features or the performance or reliability and cost becomes the first and foremost reasons for a product redesign. The other reason might also be a decline in the sales rate due to the competition from similar products manufactured by different companies. In order to cope up with the market situation, they may go for a redesign of the current product. And the other reason may be to satisfy the new government regulations or requirements, or if the company needs to expand its footprint into new markets, or when there is a splitting situation of a joint venture or partnership of two or more companies, or if there is any change in the company's logo or marketing materials. In that situation, a need for redesign occurs. Whatever may be the reason for the redesign, it is worth mentioning that the product may be redesigned any number of times, but the objective must be remain the same in order to satisfy the customer's requirements. And let us discuss the benefits of redesign. Some of the benefits I'll be discussing point wise. The first one is redesign helps to create new products with new features, which in turn drives new business. And the product redesign is in a successful way comes with new possibilities, new customers, and new opportunities. And a redesign also helps the company to stay ahead in the competitive market, and it helps in exploring new markets also. And redesign creates an impression among the customers and the people that the company is being innovative. And let us discuss the steps involved in product redesign. It is a 5-step process. The first step is to analyze the existing product. Second step, analyze the competitive products. And third step is to bring all the geographies and function in one room. And the fourth step is to select a concept for the product redesign. And the fifth step is to establish and refine the target specifications. So I'll discuss one by one. The first step, analyzing the existing product. This process can be done through by taking feedback from customers, distributors, supply agents, and the like are taken into account, and the product is analyzed from all the perspectives. Since customers use the product most often, it is best equipped to provide feedback regarding the drawbacks of the product and how to improve the existing product. And the second step, to analyze the competitive products, identifying the competitors and analyzing their products in terms of features, performance, cost, and other attributes plays a very important role. This helps the company to determine and weigh their attributes, assess their strengths and weaknesses, and identify the shortfalls in the existing product and uncover the objectives and strategies in their market segment. And the third step is to bring all the geographies and function in one room. That is, once a product has been identified for redesign, all geographic business units, different functions, and organization levels need to be brought into one room. It is the most effective way to ensure the product portfolio benefits from all perspectives, including cultural and functional point of view. And the fourth step is to select a concept for the product redesign. By evaluating all the concepts for product redesign, a final choice is made based on the attributes that best fit the requirements, specifications, and customer needs and wants. Early models or other best fit earlier models concepts can be retained and used for additional market research to obtain feedback from key customers. And the fifth step, the final step, is to establish and refine the target specifications, where we establish the specification of a new product by taking into consideration the various technical constraints, where the inputs for the redesign module are the initial design and the set of design specifications which is currently changed as per the requirements. And there are also some drawbacks of redesign. That is, although the process of redesign is simple and trackable, it becomes more iterative in nature, where there is an analysis phase also required, which needs to be introduced for better improvement. And if there is any careless decision during the redesign, it leads to worthless product development. And redesign must not allow involve drastic changes in the product which was once your user's favorite. This might affect the old customers also. And redesign requires extensive time and resources which the company must be willing to provide. And I will be discussing the example of a Nokia 3310 set, which was introduced in the year 2000. This was the first ever cell phone which many people would have had, and it's almost absolute after 15 years of its release. But later in the year 2017, they thought of redesigning this version of Nokia, but they introduced many new technological developments like the web browsing, Facebook and Twitter facilities, and the camera option also was provided. But the old style of the mainstream remained the same. The phone's main advantage was the simplicity. And due to all these facilities being included, it ended up making a bold step by the company, and it paid off really well. The phone sold out of supplies within days after its release in the year in May 2017. And there are also other examples like the social media
Okay.
platforms or the e-commerce websites or the entertainment, YouTube and all those things, where there is a continuous update of their softwares, which helps to attract their customers and create an impression among the people that the company is being very innovative. And that's it.
Yeah, fine, Arun. It was a good topic and explanation from your end with an example of Nokia as well. So my question to you is, so a redesign will be made from a same company who has already thrown a particular product into the market. Right. So
Yes.
suppose when you redesign, so you will be putting the product again in the growth stage. So the product which was already in the market might be in the stage of decline stage. So how the variations of these two products in a life cycle will be variable with respect to sales and profit. Can you throw some light on it?
Ma'am, the redesign concept is mainly based on the customer's feedback. So, though the
Right.
previous product is in the decline stage, the new product will
Hmm.
definitely grow at a faster rate because it's purely based on the customer's requirement and based on their features or performance or reliability which they expect from the product. So, in that way, it will be much more advantageous.
No, it will be advantageous. In that case, well, the decline stage, there will be loss and the product is going to end. So that will not be of a much matter to the company because the product is declining because it has stopped the updation for that particular product and customer needs something. So based on the review of the customer, you have already started redesign and thrown a product into the market and it is in the growth stage. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So there will be much benefited with the product which is now launching into the product. So there'll be no loss for them because at the end of the product, based on the requirement, they have a new product which is at the growth stage already. So it
Yes,
helps in improving the quality of the product as per the customer requirement, and there'll be no end for that particular product. Again, it will enjoy a span of 5 or 10 years until and unless the customer needs some other modification. And if
yes,
this process has been carried out by all the companies, they will enjoy the sales and profit for a longer period of time and they can grab the market for a long period of time. So this has to be implemented by many companies. Some will not do it. So this results in certain discrepancies and the end of the product all of a sudden. So redesign is a very important factor which has to be considered by every company or the organization who is manufacturing.
Yes, ma'am.
Done.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice, Arun. It was good speaking to you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So next person, yeah, thank you. Bharat is done. Edwin is done. Vivek Podal is here. Vivek. Irena Gowda, I think you have done it right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Vivek, you're here.
Ma'am,
Okay.
should I
Kevin, I
present?
think you have done. Yeah, sure. Yeah, please carry on. What's your title?
Data modeling.
Data modeling. Your USN, please.
66.
66. Yeah, please carry on.
Data modeling is the process of creating a data model for the data to be stored in a database. This data model is a conceptual representation of data objects. Data modeling helps in the visual representation of data and enforces business rules, regulatory compliances, and government policies on the data. Data model emphasizes on what data is needed and how it should be organized instead of what operations to need to be performed on the data. So why do we use the data model? The primary goals of using a data model are it ensures that all the data objects required by the database are accurately represented. A data model helps design the database at the conceptual, physical, and logical levels. It is also helpful to identify the missing and redundant data. It provides a clear picture of the base data and can be used by database developers to create a physical database. The types of data models are conceptual, conceptual model, logical model, and the physical model. The conceptual model. This data model defines what the system contains. This model is typically created by business stakeholders and data architects. The main aim of this model is to establish the entities, their attributes, and the relationships. The three basic tenets of data model are entity, attribute, and relationship. For an example, the customer and the product are two entities, and the customer number and the name are the attributes of the customer entity. Sale is the relationship between the customer and the product. The characteristics of the conceptual data model are it offers organization-wide coverage of the business concepts. This type of data models are designed and developed for a business audience. The logical data model. Logical data models add further information to conceptual model elements. It defines the structure of data elements and sets the relationship between them. It defines how the system should be implemented regardless of the DBMS. This model is typically created by data architects and business analysts. The purpose is to develop technical map of rules and data structures. The advantage of logical data model is to provide a foundation to form the for the physical model. However, the modeling structure remains generic. So the characteristics of a logical data model are it describes the data needs for a single project but could integrate with other logical data models based on the scope of the project. It is designed and developed independently from the DBMS. It follows a normalization process to the typically till 3NF. Third one is the physical data model. A physical data model describes the database specific implementation of the data model. It offers an abstraction of the database and helps generate schema. This is because of the richness of metadata offered by a physical data model. The characteristics of the physical data model are the physical data model describes the data need for a single project. So, data model contains relationship between tables that contains addresses and nullability of the relationships. Primary and foreign keys, views, indexes, access profile, and authorizations are defined. The advantages and disadvantages of the data model are the advantages are The main goal of designing a data model is to make certain that data objects offered by the functional team are represented accurately. Data model helps business to communicate within and across organizations. Data model helps to document data mappings in ETL process. Helps to recognize correct sources of data to populate the model. Disadvantages of data model. To develop a data model, one should know the physical data stored characteristics. And this is a navigational system which produces complex application development and management. And there's no set of data manipulation language in DBMS. So yes, ma'am, that's it.
Okay, fine. You have improved your communication skill and presentation. Good for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And related to data modeling, you have explained the concept related to it. So you
Yes, ma'am.
know that data modeling comes under product structures, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
how
ma'am.
will it be benefited in building the structure of a product? Can you just throw some light on it, or at least some companies who have utilized this data modeling aspect while structuring a particular product?
Yes. It helps the product structure by defining the relational tables, the primary and the stored procedures. It helps design the database. It helps design the product database according to the conceptual, physical, and logical levels. And this data modeling is used in IBM also. Right? This data modeling is used in IBM. And
You're sure?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In IBM, sure.
Did you refer some case studies, examples related to data modeling, product structures? We also dealt
No.
one in the class also.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please go through it. It shows a
Okay, okay, sure.
step-by-step procedure, how the data is segregated and how it is fed, and how different theoretical modeling is being done for different structural matrix of the product. So which type of product structure you can select based on the required modeling aspect as per the requirement of the product which has to be manufactured. So it will be mapped together into different templates with an entire product structure, so that depending upon your level of the product what you're going to manufacture, depending upon the number of parts which has to be manufactured and the materials what you're selecting and functional parameters which are being needed, as per that you will be going with different modeling aspects. So based on the criteria you will select this data modeling, and again this will be embedded along with our product data management PDM that you have to consider. So
Okay.
once PDM is embedded along with your PLM, then only the data modeling, segregation, accumulation, integration of all the data essential right from the beginning to the end of the products which has been manufactured, everything will plays a vital role. For that, a company has to embed PDM along with PLM in an organization, or else neither they can accumulate the data, neither they can do the data modeling, neither they can build the structures virtually and do it in on scale. So all these are some way or the other interrelated to one another. Fine. So you
Yes,
should
ma'am.
be at least referring some papers where these strategies and the concepts are implemented in the companies, how they are progressing. So then you will get an idea thought, like how the improvements are based on the latest trends. So that will help you to enhance your knowledge as well as to write well in the examination with example. Okay.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Yeah, fine, sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So who else is left out? Vivek was there. Is he available, Shaurya?
Ma'am, I'll ask him, ma'am. Is there...
Yeah, please ask him. And
Okay.
there were other students also I cannot find. I think Arun has done, Edwin has done, Lokamitra has done, Bharat PN is also done. Irana Gowda is also being done. Please ask one more person can do the explanation. And until then, so you will be having one more internals. I hope you people have received the circular. Previously, it was decided to go with two. So now it is only one internals, the second internals, which will be done at the end of the May, right? So you will be having an descriptive questions, what you have to answer. Out of 8, 5 you have to answer. So the modules will be related to the third and the fourth module, because we had covered first and second in our first internal. So we will be focusing now on third module and the fourth module, what you have to refer for your internal. So it will be descriptive type. So I will just tell you the pattern also, how it will be in the later stages. So we have a paper also. I can just show you a paper. I just downloaded the latest paper, but I don't think so. The PDF file can be shared in Google Meet. Could it be presented in a window? No. Okay, I'll share you the question paper, what I have with you. So it speaks entirely with all the 5 modules, what we have covered already. So we'll be having choice for each module. In module 1, we will be having 2 questions, what you have to answer. So there'll be in subsections, like suppose the first module. So you will be having 1A, 1B, 1C, and again 2A, 2B, 2C. So where the marks will be split into 6, 6, and 4. So you'll be having a split up. So first question is basically been asked in the last year as define PLM, list and explain the different phases of product life cycle. So you have to define, you please answer with respect to the question which has been asked. Don't write something which is not relevant to the question asked. So you have to define what is PLM, and you have to list what are the different phases, and also you have to explain along with a diagram. So that is for 6 marks. And then they have asked what is PLM strategy. So you have to list out all the strategies of PLM, and then you have to explain. And again, what are the benefits associated with PLM? They have asked us 1C. So list the benefits of PLM. That is again for 6 marks. So please see the marks allotted. As per that, you have to write the answer. So for every module, you will be having 2 choices, 1 and 2, 1A, B, C, and again 2A, B, and C. So out of these 2 questions, you have to answer for 1. So where there will be a split up of 6, 6, and 4 marks for each question. So likewise, you'll be having options for all the modules until we cover with the 5th module. So in many questions, they have asked you with respect to the examples, what you have to refer. So I will be sharing the question paper for you all in the this one, Google Classroom. You can just have a look of it. And there are still many students who haven't presented. They were supposed to be presented. Shaurya, you're here. Is Vivek coming up?
Yes. No, I'm not picking up now.
Okay, he was there in between. I don't know where he has gone. I think the others who are there in right now have completed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'll be sharing it, and see that those who haven't submitted the module 5, please submit at the earliest. Don't keep any pending work with you all. The internals are coming up. You have to prepare for that, wind up all other subjects, records, everything, writing part. So be accurate with respect to your work, updated, and submit all the things which are on date. And Shaurya, one more thing. So I just wanted to
Yes,
tell,
ma'am.
what about the progress of the report?
I'm writing the report, ma'am. The design calculations are left, that only I have to add in.
Okay, and you had some issues related to the simulation part.
Yes,
What you
ma'am.
were telling, is it done?
No, ma'am, the simulation, I don't know, ma'am, what's happening.
Okay, no, at least some the simulation and some flow you got it for the input
Yes, ma'am.
parameters,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
you were trying on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you were stuck up with some other parameters that day, what you were discussing,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So just I
Yes, ma'am.
wanted to ask.
The graphs
Okay,
and all
so
we've
keep
done.
the report ready. Yeah,
We've
yeah.
done
You
with the
please
graphs.
send me the report. You have done
Okay,
with the
ma'am.
graphs. That's fine. So you please draft it and mail me at the earliest, because I have to go through in each page for any corrections to be done. and we have
Yes,
less
ma'am.
period of time. I think it was 24th, yeah, 25th, right? The
24th.
tentative dates, what, yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
24th, the tentative date which has been announced. So we have 10 days in hand. So we have to see that it's been completed
Okay.
successfully, and any modifications to be done, we have to go into. Please refer standard journals only, and in the references, kindly include all the
Yes, ma'am.
references and show the citations wherever you have taken. And
Okay,
you
ma'am.
can show the citations for even the results what you have achieved to at the result and discussion part. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So please do it, and let me know at the earliest. Mail me the
Okay, ma'am.
report, okay, for the
Yes,
correction, just the draft version. And the
yes, ma'am.
others, please take care. Have a nice day. And everyone, kindly write your topic and the USN number in the classroom without fail. Bye bye.